Hi guys, silly me. I had been under the impression that the job of the opposition was to hold the government to account, and the job of an MP is to represent their constituents. David Davis, remember that guy, the one who went to negotiate a withdrawal agreement with the European Union and was so bad at it that David friggin' Frost was sent to replace him? Well, he was asked about life on the opposition benches, and nothing but sheer arrogance was on display here. Have a listen to this.
Just one final question, because I know you got to dash as well. You said that you've been through, I think, 11 elections before. You were there for 1997.
This is my 11th.
So this is your 11th. You were there for 1997. You, of course, saw that long period of opposition. How bad is it in opposition? And do you worry the Conservatives are heading there again?
I don't recommend opposition. It's really hard. It's hard work. It's difficult, certainly in the early years. It's very difficult to score any points. I mean, remember William Hague's time, very difficult too. So I don't recommend it at all. I mean, in a way, I quite enjoy opposition because I'm quite good at it. I'm an oppositionist MP in some ways. But truth be told, for most of the Conservative Party, it's a grim thing to do if that's where we end up.
What did he mean by scoring points? It's difficult to score points. What the hell is that about? Now, being in opposition, the role of the opposition, the official opposition or opposition parties, is allegedly to hold the government to account. I believe that's an honourable position. You know, there is a government in power. You believe they should be implementing their manifesto. You believe they should be respecting the rule of law. They should be respecting Parliament. So you should be holding them to account. Now, whether parties can actually hold the government to account is another issue, and I've criticised that before, both the problem with, for example, massive majorities, or the fact that, you know, the Speaker of the House is pretty much like a chocolate fireguard. So that aside, the role of the opposition, of course, is to hold the government to account, to challenge them both in committees, but also in the House of Commons itself during, for example, PMQs or debates. But also the role of an MP is to represent their constituents. That's an honourable role as well. David Davis didn't mention either of these things here. He just said, well, you know, being in opposition is pretty crappy. It's a horrible position to be in. Like, once again, there's nothing wrong with being in opposition. Of course, political parties don't want to be in opposition. They would prefer to be in government so they can implement their policies. But there's nothing dishonourable about being in opposition. Many parties may never actually get into power. The Greens will never be in power, probably, unless there's a coalition. But at the moment, it's highly unlikely the Greens or the Liberal Democrats or the SNP in Westminster will be part of the government. So they will be, of course, in opposition. And there's nothing wrong with that. They know they're going to be in opposition. They're being elected with the idea that they're going to be in opposition. And the opposition's job, of course, is to hold the government to account, to challenge it. What's wrong with that? Like, David Davis could have easily said, look, of course, we would prefer to be in government. We understand if we're in opposition, our job is to, as I said, hold the government to account. It's the official line. It's to challenge the government, make sure that it's following the rules, that it's respecting the law, that it's not breaking international law in a limited and specific way. And of course, you know, as we're MPs, our job is to represent our constituents, to ask questions on their behalf, to challenge the government on their behalf, you know, to represent them in committees, for example. So we are sent to Parliament to do a job, be it in government or in the opposition. That would have been a reasonable, honourable response. But instead, it's something about points. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.